Well, it's Friday. I'm DrFlux. You know what that means? It's time for another episode of Flux Friday. In today's episode, we have a really interesting thing to talk about, a new blaster line. So it looks like there is a new blaster line known as the N Series. And let me tell you, I have a few things to say. But first, let me go through the blasters and kind of introduce them and talk about my first impressions of something that's not in my hands that, I'm just kind of speculating. So first up, we have the Agility. And when I saw the Agility, I immediately thought of the classic Maverick, because this right here is N-Strike series. And now we have an N series. And one of their blasters are releasing is very similar to the classic tried and true Maverick. One thing that caught my eye on this blaster was their weird little thing in the back. It's like a strange little priming handle or something. But from what I can tell, it's a top prime, Springer pistol with a rotating cylinder. So with that said, I don't know if I'm really excited because I love the Maverick, I love the Disruptor, they already exist, but let's see what else this line possibly can give us. Now the next blaster I'm actually really excited about because I love bullpups and I don't think we have enough of them. Introducing the Nerf N Series Sprinter. Now we can see that this is a flywheel blaster, takes magazines, and is bullpup, which is cool. Looking at this blaster, I think the overall design aesthetics of it look really good. And I can't wait to just tear into it, which leads me to one of my biggest points. I need people to understand when I'm talking about Nerf products and looking at stuff, I'm coming from a modder's perspective. I want to tear these things apart and do stuff to them. Does that mean that you should run out and buy one? For the average consumer, no, because a lot of people don't want to open up their blaster and take out wires and put in wires and add motors and all that crazy stuff. That's what I love to do, and so when I'm looking at a blaster, that's what I'm thinking about. I just want to put that out there because this line, I have things to say about it, and I don't know if the average consumer should actually run out and buy this N-Series stuff, but more on that later. So let's talk about the next blaster. I was unable to find images for the next blaster, but it goes by the Flex. And from the listing, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be something like this, just a little Jolt reskin, says you prime it and put in one dart and fire. Anytime Hasbro does a new blaster line, they always have their quick, low budget, single shot Jolt reskin, if you will, and that's most likely what this blaster will be. This one also, I was unable to find any images, but it's gonna be something similar to this, a bolt action. So all we know is it's called the Pinpoint. It is a bolt action blaster with a magazine that accepts 10 darts. So we'll just have to see what it is. Now there is a final blaster that's kind of teased, and it kind of sounds like a big crazy Vulcan type of blaster, and hopefully it is something like the Vulcan because I absolutely love this blaster. It's such a big crazy build. If anything, it'd be great integration or modding fodder. Now with all that said, just to kind of set the floor as to, hey, we got a bunch of new blasters coming out. This is the part of the video where I'm a little bit concerned. We'll say concerned. And that is because the last two big, well actually three big launches, we had the Nerf Ultra, which we could talk for hours about Nerf Ultra. We had Hyper, probably out of all the ones I'm talking about, Hyper's probably the biggest failed launch. And then of course, Elite 2.0, which is supposed to be a nice reboot of the old blasters that we knew and loved. So where does that put Nerf N Series? Well, because of the darts and how they look, with this little back nubbin, which I can only be described as a key on a dart. To me, the little nub or the little dart key that only works with, the Ultra Blaster or now the N Series. Is this one of those things like they're putting all this time and energy into developing a way so that you have to buy their darts? That's all it comes down. You have to buy their darts. And the reason why many of us are here in the Nerf community or the foam flinging community is because we have basically modded a lot of these blasters to perform better. We take out their air restrictors, we overvolt them, or we change the wiring in them, and we make them good. We basically unnerf Nerf products. That's kind of what we do. Now, because of that, I'm pretty certain Hasbro and Nerf in general are probably not fond of my channel and what we do here, because that's all we do. We like to modify things to make them better. So with that in mind, seeing the new N line makes me very excited because they're really messed up. And I say that because as all the other companies, are making short darts and making high performance blasters that are better and better, Hasbro, teased us with the Strife X, and I do believe there's more coming, but we don't know. There's the whole concept that the Strife X is just a modified Strife, which is nice, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, we've had modified Strifes for years. It's not really a new innovative thing. I mean, they just took everything that we had done to the Strife before and packaged up into a nice little package. I do appreciate it, it's very cost effective. It wasn't anything real crazy, new and innovative, except for the battery. I will give credit to the battery. But with that aside, we have Ultra, which Ultra is weird because like who is who is the consumer of Ultra? Is it small children? Well, no, because it hits close to 100 FPS. They were trying to present it as like a pro type of series. They had an Ultra tournament and tried to make it seem like it was going to be the biggest, best thing. It's going to be the pinnacle of nerfing. And we all know that it did not. It didn't work that way because the darts were inaccurate, they were overpriced, and they were just not good. It was a bad design. They spent so much time engineering the little key on the back of the dart and then over-engineering the actual locking mechanisms within the Nerf blaster. I have modded Nerf Ultra, and you can literally pull out like a ton of plastic because it's just all locks. The Nerf blasters actually are pretty simple. You know, for the springers, just pull back the spring and put on a catch and then release it when you pull the trigger. Very simple. And then electronic blasters, you're completing a circuit when you pull the trigger. Yeah, you would open these things up and they would just be littered, just locks upon locks upon locks, all to interact with that little nub. So it's like, to me, all that complication, it just drives up the cost. So I'm really curious to see how this works with this new dart. Now, this is all speculation. We could get the darts and the blasters and we could realize, oh, it's not a keyed thing. Maybe that weird little nub on the back actually makes these things perform better. I highly doubt it, but hey. And I don't want to spend too much on this topic. The last thing I want to say is, if they would take their time and apply their technologies that they have 3 amazing technologies for darts. They have figured out the perfect foam body core, which was actually on Ultra, surprisingly. It's the one thing Ultra did bring. Their foam body cores are good. They have their superior dart head on the Accu series. Take that Accu series dart. Now, to make sure this dart works well in springers and stuff that has barrel drag, shrink the head down a little bit. Just enough. I mean, you can see it, kind of see it here on this X-Shot waffle head. You can really see it on the Worker Gen 3. And what that does is allows the dart to travel through a tight barrel without dragging the rubbery bits on the sides. It's how you make a dart. And then the last thing, which we know Hasbro can do because they did the Strife X, is make a shorter dart. Those 3 things together could make the ultimate dart that would rule all darts if they can make it affordable and available. So that's where we're at. Instead, we get these weird keyed darts. I'm like, okay, that would be fine if you offered the best darts, but you don't. You offer probably one of the worst darts, but you do possess the knowledge of how to make good darts. And this is what I'm going to close on. I strongly believe that 99% of Nerf, of what you can go to the store and buy, it is intended to not be accurate, to be gimmicky, and it's not meant to last a long time. Those 3 things are really, they leave a bad taste in your mouth. You know, and that's why the Nerf modding community and the foam flinging community and the 3D printed Nerf space even exists, is because Hasbro is notorious for making shoddy, cost savings types of decision making that and don't get me wrong, it is fine for a company to make money. It's just the way they go about doing it. How about you make a quality product? So yeah, final thoughts on Nerf in series. I mean, I'm happy about the new shell designs. I think the blasters look cool. I will most likely be reviewing all of them, possibly tearing them apart and modding them and making cool DrFlux mad scientist builds. But as far as, do I recommend them to all of you or just the average, you know, parent trying to pick up a blaster for their kids? I don't know, to be honest, because, you know, parents that have been buying their kids Nerf for years probably have all kinds of darts and all that stuff. And to be honest, do they want to buy a brand new dart type? It's really frustrating. I think Hasbro really should just focus on making, you could still use the long elite darts, but make a waffle head or something, or go back to your Accu Strike heads. Well, with all that said, I'm DrFlux. I want to thank you for watching today's video. As always, be safe and happy foam flinging.